Have you ever wondered why your heart refuses to let go of one prayer, even after disappointment has tried to silence it? Why that one desire still burns inside you when so many other dreams have already faded away? Listen carefully, because what I am about to say is not for the person who has already given up. It is for the one who has cried in secret, smiled in public, carried unbearable pressure without anyone noticing, and questioned whether God had forgotten their name. You have been betrayed by people you defended. You have been misunderstood by those who never cared to hear your heart. You have been judged by people who only knew a small part of your story, yet spoke as if they had read every chapter. There were nights when you lay awake asking God, if you see everything, why does it feel like heaven is so quiet? But what if that silence was never rejection? What if it was preparation? What if at the very moment you believed your greatest wish had slipped beyond reach, God was examining your path, strengthening your character, removing hidden dangers, and preparing a future far greater than your imagination could arrange on its own? Do not rush away from this moment, because your circumstances may be speaking one language while God is writing another. The people who dismissed you do not have the final word. The voices that declared your season was over do not hold your future. The failures that made you question your worth cannot cancel what God has already decided. There comes a moment when heaven's answer is not delayed because God is unwilling, but because the blessing is becoming complete. And when that appointed moment arrives, what seemed impossible begins to move with astonishing speed. So lift your eyes beyond today's disappointment. Refuse to let temporary pain become a permanent belief. The God who created possibilities where none existed has not abandoned your greatest hope. Even now, while you cannot yet see the full picture, He is arranging what no human hand could accomplish. The approval you have been longing for does not begin with people recognizing your value. It begins with God declaring that the time for your deepest, most sincere desire is drawing closer than you ever imagined. There is something that many people never understand because they are too focused on what they can see with their own eyes. They assume that if nothing is changing around them, then nothing is happening at all. But God has never been limited to what is visible. Long before a tree breaks through the surface of the earth, life is already growing beneath the soil where no one applauds it. Long before the first drop of rain reaches the ground, clouds have already been gathering beyond the horizon. In the same way, your greatest wish has not been ignored simply because it has not yet appeared before you. God has been working in places your eyes cannot reach, moving through circumstances you never knew existed, quietly aligning moments, people, opportunities, and even delays so that everything arrives at the exact time it is meant to. That is why you must not confuse hidden work with absent work. Heaven is never inactive simply because it is unseen. Think about everything you have survived. There were moments when your confidence was shattered. There were days when the people you trusted the most became the very reason your heart felt heavy. Some walked away without explanation. Others stayed close enough to smile at your face while secretly hoping you would never rise again. You questioned your own value because repeated disappointment has a dangerous way of making faithful people believe they are forgotten. The accusations, the rejection, the silent treatment, the broken promises, and the unexpected losses all whispered the same lie. Maybe your hope is too big. Maybe your prayer will never be answered. Yet, through every painful season, God kept breathing strength into you one day at a time. You may not have noticed it then, but every morning you found the courage to stand again was evidence that He had not abandoned you. If He intended to leave you, you would have lost far more than opportunities. You would have lost the desire to keep believing. The fact that your heart still reaches toward God after everything you have endured is proof that He has been holding you even when you felt like you were falling. Never forget that God's approval is different from human approval. People approve what is popular. God approves what is prepared. People reward appearances. God examines the heart. The world celebrates quick success, loud victories, and impressive performances. But God often chooses quiet seasons to build unshakable foundations. If your greatest wish had arrived before your character was strengthened, it might have become a burden instead of a blessing. If every door had opened the moment you knocked, you might never have learned the patience that now protects your peace. If everyone had believed in you from the beginning, you might have depended on their applause instead of trusting God's direction. Looking back one day, you may discover that the delays you once feared were actually acts of mercy. God was not saying no. He was making sure that when the answer arrived, it would remain a blessing instead of becoming another source of pain. So do not measure your future by today's silence. Do not allow the opinions of disappointed people to become the definition of your destiny. The one who formed your life is not confused by the obstacle standing before you. Every closed door, every unexpected detour, every lonely season, and every unanswered question has passed through His knowledge. Nothing has surprised Him, and nothing has forced Him to abandon the purpose He has for you. While others see an ordinary delay, God sees perfect timing. While others count your setbacks, God counts your perseverance. While others remember your mistakes, God sees the person you are becoming through every trial. Hold firmly to that truth, because the moment is coming when what God has already approved will become visible, and the same people who thought your greatest wish had died will realize they were only witnessing the quiet season before an extraordinary beginning. There is another truth that few people have the courage to accept. Sometimes the greatest battle is not against poverty, failure, rejection, or opposition. It is against the quiet temptation to stop expecting anything at all. That is the moment the struggle becomes dangerous. Not when people walk away, not when opportunities disappear, not even when tears become your closest companion. The most dangerous moment is when your heart begins to whisper, maybe I should stop asking. Maybe I expected too much. Maybe I should settle for less than what I once believed God could do. That whisper does not arrive like a storm. It comes gently, disguised as wisdom, pretending to protect you from another disappointment. It tells you that lowering your expectations will make life easier. But God did not place hope inside your soul so that fear could negotiate it away. He did not awaken a deep desire within you only to watch doubt slowly bury it. If your greatest wish continues to live inside you after every setback, every betrayal, every unanswered question, and every lonely night, perhaps it is because God never intended for that hope to die. Perhaps He has been protecting the very dream you thought was slipping away. Look back without allowing regret to become your master. Remember the moments when you thought everything had ended. Remember the conversations that left your heart broken. Remember the doors that closed so suddenly you never even had the chance to explain yourself. There were people who misunderstood your silence. and called it weakness. There were people who laughed at your patience because they believed quick success was the only success that mattered. Some measured your worth by your current circumstances instead of your hidden character. Others spoke confidently about your future as if they possessed authority over your life. Every careless word, every false accusation, every unfair judgment became another weight pressing against your spirit. There were days when you questioned whether anyone truly saw the sacrifices you had made. Yet while people were busy writing their opinions about your life, God was writing a completely different story. Human voices are loud, but they are temporary. God's decision is quiet, but it is final. Those who tried to define your future were never holding the pen. The author of your journey never surrendered that authority to anyone else. Do not underestimate what God can accomplish through a season that appears empty. The earth looks lifeless before new growth begins. The horizon appears unchanged until the first light quietly pushes away the darkness. In the same way, your life may seem unchanged to everyone around you, but unseen movement is not imaginary movement. God works beyond the limits of human observation. While you have been wondering why nothing appears different, He has been removing obstacles you never noticed, closing paths that would have led to regret, softening hearts you thought would never change, creating opportunities beyond your current vision, and preparing you to carry the weight of the very blessing you have been praying for. If He simply handed you everything before this preparation was complete, you might celebrate the gift for a moment, but struggle to sustain it for a lifetime. God's approval is never careless. When He opens a door, He also provides the strength, wisdom, endurance, and maturity to walk through it. So refuse to surrender your expectation simply because the journey has taken longer than you imagined. Time cannot cancel what God has approved. Opposition cannot overturn His purpose. Betrayal cannot erase His promise. Delay cannot weaken His power. Every day you remain faithful in the middle of uncertainty is another declaration that disappointment will not become your identity. One morning you will realize that the season you once called unbearable was actually shaping a version of you that could carry far more than the person you used to be. The tears you thought were signs of defeat became seeds of deeper trust. The loneliness that seemed unbearable became the place where your confidence stopped depending on people and began resting completely in God. And when the answer finally stands before you, you will understand that your greatest wish was never merely about receiving something you wanted. It was about becoming someone capable of receiving what God had already approved, without allowing fear, pride, bitterness, or the opinions of others to steal it away. At that moment, every painful chapter will reveal its purpose, and you will know with unwavering certainty that God was never delaying your future. He was preparing you to live it fully. There is a moment that arrives in every person's life when everything around them seems designed to convince them that they have been forgotten. It is a strange place because nothing dramatic may be happening on the outside, yet inside, a relentless battle is taking place. You continue to pray, but the answer seems distant. You continue to believe, but your circumstances appear unchanged. You continue to wait, but those who mocked your faith seem to move ahead while your own path remains hidden. That is where many people surrender, not because God failed them, but because they allowed appearances to become more convincing than His faithfulness. Do not make that mistake. What you see today is only one page of a much greater story. God has never been limited by what looks impossible to human eyes. The silence you are experiencing is not proof of His absence. It may be the very place where His greatest work is unfolding beyond the reach of your understanding. Just because your hands are still empty does not mean your future is. Just because the answer has not arrived does not mean it has not already been set into motion. Heaven is not reacting to your situation. God has always been ahead of it. There were seasons when you begged people to understand your heart. You explained yourself again and again, hoping someone would finally see your sincerity, only to discover that some minds had already decided who you were before you ever spoke. No matter how honest you were, they questioned your motives. No matter how kind you tried to be, they searched for flaws. No matter how faithfully you stood beside them, they repaid your loyalty with distance, criticism, or betrayal. That kind of pain cuts deeply because it comes from people you never expected would wound you. It leaves you wondering whether trust is worth giving again. But hear this with all your heart. Your value has never depended on another person's ability to recognize it. God did not consult your critics before shaping your future. He did not ask permission from those who underestimated you before placing purpose inside your life. People can misunderstand your words, reject your intentions, and even celebrate your failures, but none of them possess the authority to reverse what God has approved. Their opinions may create noise, but they cannot rewrite His decision. The courtroom of human judgment has no power over the verdict that comes from God. Sometimes God allows every false support to disappear so you can discover what cannot be shaken. When every familiar voice grows silent, when every comfortable plan falls apart, when every door you expected to open remains closed, you begin to learn a lesson that success alone could never teach. You discover that your peace was never meant to depend on people's applause. Your confidence was never meant to be built upon temporary circumstances. Your identity was never supposed to rest in achievements, titles, possessions, or the approval of those around you. God removes fragile foundations so He can establish an unshakable one. At first, it feels like loss. It feels unfair. It feels as though everything precious is being taken away. But later you realize that He was not emptying your hands to punish you. He was making room for something your own life could not contain. Some blessings require more than desire. They require transformation. God is not only preparing what you have been asking for, He is preparing the person who will receive it. That is why your hidden season has value. Every tear has been teaching compassion. Every disappointment has been building resilience. Every unanswered question has been deepening wisdom. Every lonely night has been strengthening your dependence on the one who never abandons you. So do not allow the length of the journey to convince you that the destination has disappeared. The path has been difficult, but difficulty is not denial. You have survived days you once believed would break you completely. You have walked through disappointment without allowing bitterness to consume your soul. You have carried questions without letting go of faith. That is not weakness. It is evidence that God has been sustaining you in ways you could not always recognize. One day, the very people who assumed your silence meant defeat will witness the quiet strength that God was building within you. They will see peace where they expected bitterness. They will see wisdom where they expected anger. They will see steady confidence where they expected fear. Most importantly, they will see that your greatest wish did not come to life because of luck, influence, or human approval. It came because God had already declared that what He planted in your heart would reach its appointed season. When that day arrives, you will no longer ask why the waiting was so long, because the greatness of what God has established will make every delay, every tear, every betrayal, and every lonely step along the journey testify that His timing was never late, it was perfectly complete. There is a reason your heart has survived storms that should have destroyed it, and that reason is greater than your own determination. If your strength alone had been responsible for carrying you this far, you would have surrendered long ago. Think about the nights when your mind was crowded with questions that had no immediate answers. Think about the mornings when you forced yourself to smile while your heart was carrying a weight no one else could see. There were moments when disappointment became so familiar that it almost felt normal. You watched opportunities disappear at the last second. You watched the people make promises they never intended to keep. You watched others receive what you had been praying for. And if you are honest, there were times when you quietly wondered, God, have you overlooked me? That question did not make you faithless, it made you human. But notice something extraordinary. Even after every painful chapter, you kept turning your heart back toward God. Something inside you refused to completely give up. That was not an accident. It was evidence that God was guarding the deepest part of your spirit, refusing to let despair have the final word. When you thought you were barely holding on to your faith, it was actually your faith in God that was holding on to you. Never underestimate how much can change in a single moment once God declares that the season of waiting has accomplished its purpose. People often imagine that breakthroughs happen because circumstances suddenly become favorable. But that is only what the eye can observe. The real turning point begins long before anyone notices it. It begins when God decides that your preparation has become greater than your fear. Your wisdom has become deeper than your impulse. And your trust has become stronger than your need for immediate answers. Until then, every delay has been serving a purpose you could not fully understand. Every obstacle has been exposing hidden weaknesses that needed healing. Every closed door has been preventing you from settling for something smaller than what God intended. Imagine if every desire had been fulfilled the instant you asked. How many unnecessary burdens would you have carried? How many painful mistakes would have become permanent because you mistook urgency for readiness? Looking back, you may discover that what once felt like rejection was actually protection wearing unfamiliar clothes. God was not withholding your greatest wish because He enjoyed watching you wait. He was ensuring that when the answer arrived, it would not become another temporary victory, but a lasting testimony of His perfect wisdom. The people who underestimated you never realized they were measuring only the visible part of your journey. They saw your setbacks, but not the strength those setbacks were creating. They saw your silence, but not the conversations you were having with God in private. They saw your delays, but not the invisible work taking place beyond human understanding. Some dismissed you because they expected quick results. Others quietly celebrated your struggles because your growth made them uncomfortable. There were even those who attempted to convince you that your hope was unrealistic, that your greatest wish belonged in the world of imagination rather than reality. Yet none of them understood that God is not limited by the expectations of people. Human opinion rises and falls like the wind. changing direction without warning. God's purpose remains steady. When He approves something, no amount of doubt, criticism, betrayal, jealousy, or opposition can erase His decision. People may delay your opportunities, misunderstand your intentions, or temporarily block your path, but they cannot cancel what God has already established. They do not possess that authority, no matter how powerful they appear. So stand where you are today with renewed confidence, not because every question has been answered, but because the one who holds your future has never lost control of it. Refuse to define your life by the chapters that caused you pain. Refuse to let disappointment become the language through which you interpret every new opportunity. Refuse to believe that your greatest wish has expired simply because it has taken longer than you expected. God's timing is never measured by human impatience. He is not hurried by deadlines, discouraged by obstacles, or surprised by opposition. Even now, while you cannot see the full picture, He is arranging details that will one day leave you amazed at how perfectly they fit together. The tears you shed in secret have not been ignored. The prayers you whispered when no one else was listening have not disappeared into silence. The hope you fought to protect through seasons of rejection has not been wasted. Every faithful step has been leading toward an appointed moment already known to God. And when that moment finally arrives, you will realize that your greatest wish was never hanging by a thread. It was safely held in the hands of the one who approved it before fear tried to convince you it would never come to pass. There will come a day when you will stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin asking a very different question. What was God protecting me from? That single realization will change the way you see every painful chapter you have lived through. Right now, some memories still sting. You remember the conversations that broke your heart, the people who smiled while secretly working against you, the moments when your loyalty was answered with betrayal, and the seasons when you felt invisible, even though you gave everything you had. You remember being judged before anyone knew your story. You remember carrying burdens in silence because you were tired of explaining yourself to people who had already chosen not to understand. Those experiences left scars, but they did not destroy the person God was shaping. They only revealed who could walk with you for a season and who was never meant to remain on your journey. Every painful separation exposed the truth that comfort had been hiding. Every disappointment uncovered a lesson that success alone could never have taught. Looking back, you will see that God was not only preparing your greatest wish, He was also clearing away everything that would have poisoned it once it arrived. Do not fear the distance between where you are and where you long to be. That distance is not empty. It is filled with quiet moments of preparation that most people overlook because they are searching only for dramatic signs. God often performs His deepest work in ordinary days when nothing appears to be changing and every hour feels the same. While you are wondering why the answer has not yet appeared, your character is becoming steadier. Your discernment is becoming sharper. Your patience is becoming stronger. The version of you that once depended on constant reassurance is slowly learning to stand with quiet confidence. The version of you that once chased acceptance from everyone is discovering the freedom that comes from caring more about God's approval than human applause. These changes may not attract attention, but they are more valuable than temporary success. A blessing can change your circumstances in a moment, but transform character changes the direction of your entire life. God is not interested in giving you something that only excites you for a season. He desires to establish something that remains strong long after the excitement fades. Perhaps you have been measuring your life by what has not happened instead of by what God has already brought you through. Pause for a moment and consider the battles that could have broken you completely. Think about the days when anxiety whispered that you would never recover. Think about the nights when loneliness convinced you that no one truly cared. Think about the disappointments that made you question whether your prayers were reaching beyond the ceiling. Yet somehow you are still here. You are still seeking God. You are still capable of hoping, even if your hope has become quieter than before. That is not a small thing. That is evidence that God's sustaining power has been working within you every single day. If He has carried you through seasons that once seemed impossible to survive, why should you believe He will suddenly abandon you now when your greatest wish is closer than ever? The same God who strengthened you in hidden battles is fully able to open doors that no human effort could unlock. Nothing about your future depends solely on luck, timing, influence, or the opinions of people. Your future rests securely in the hands of the one whose wisdom sees every tomorrow before it arrives. So lift your eyes beyond the disappointment of today and refuse to let temporary pain define an eternal purpose. The voices that told you to settle were never speaking with God's authority. The people who predicted your failure never possessed the power to determine your destiny. Every false accusation, every betrayal, every delay, every tear, and every lonely mile has been shaping a testimony that cannot be manufactured by comfort alone. The day is coming when you will stand in the very place you once believed was impossible to reach. And your heart will remember every prayer whispered through tears, every moment you almost surrendered, every time you chose faith instead of bitterness, and every step you took when the road ahead seemed completely hidden. In that moment, you will understand that God was never asking you to carry your future on your own shoulders. He was asking you to trust the hands that had already written a greater story than fear could imagine. Your greatest wish was never waiting for human permission. It has always rested under God's perfect authority. And when His appointed time arrives, no force of doubt, rejection, or opposition will be able to hold back what He has already approved. Do not allow your present reality to become the prison of your imagination. One of the enemy's greatest strategies against a hopeful heart is not always to fill it with fear, but to convince it that nothing will ever be different. Day after day, disappointment tries to train you to expect less, to pray less, to dream less, and eventually to believe less. It whispers that you have already seen your best days, that your greatest opportunities have passed, that the people who left took your future with them, and that the doors which closed will never open again. But those whispers collapse the moment they are compared with the greatness of God. Your future has never depended on the people who abandoned you. It has never depended on the opinions of those who falsely accused you. It has never depended on the opportunities that slipped through your hands. If God is the one directing your path, then what you lost cannot become greater than what He is still able to provide. What was taken from you by people can never exhaust what God has prepared for you. Human hands are limited. God's power is not. Think about how many times you believed your story had reached its end. You looked at the broken pieces of your life and wondered how anything beautiful could ever come from them. Every unanswered prayer felt heavier than the last. Every delay seemed to confirm your deepest fears. There were seasons when you became exhausted from pretending to be strong. You encouraged everyone around you while silently wondering who would encourage you. You stood by others when they were struggling. Yet, when your own heart was breaking, the room suddenly became empty. Those moments revealed a painful truth. Not everyone who walks beside you intends to stay beside you. Some people celebrate you only when your light makes them comfortable. The moment your purpose begins to outgrow their expectations, they become distant, critical, or suspicious. Do not grieve forever over those departures. God sometimes allows people to leave because they were connected to your past but not equipped for your future. What feels like abandonment today may become one of the greatest acts of protection you will ever understand. The road ahead requires people of integrity, humility, and genuine faithfulness. Those who are unwilling to walk with you honestly would only have become obstacles to what God is preparing. There is another reason you must refuse to surrender your hope. Every season of hidden preparation has been creating something inside you that success alone could never produce. Before this journey, perhaps you trusted too quickly. Perhaps you measured your worth by how others responded to you. Perhaps you believed that every closed door was a personal rejection. But look at who you are becoming now. You have learned to seek wisdom before making decisions. You have learned that silence often reveals more than endless arguments. You have learned that peace is far more valuable than proving yourself to people determined to misunderstand you. Most importantly, you have learned that God's approval carries more weight than the applause of thousands. That transformation is priceless. If your greatest wish had arrived before these lessons became part of your character, you might have celebrated the blessing while lacking the maturity to protect it. God has not simply been preparing your circumstances. He has been preparing your heart to carry His answer with gratitude instead of pride, with humility instead of arrogance, and with wisdom instead of haste. So hear this with unwavering confidence. The waiting has not been meaningless. The tears have not been forgotten, and the prayers have not disappeared into silence. Every moment you remained faithful while nothing seemed to change became another testimony that your trust was anchored in God rather than in visible results. There is an appointed moment that no person can postpone and no obstacle can prevent once God declares it has arrived. When that moment comes, you will not need to force open doors that He has chosen to unlock. You will not need to convince people who were never meant to believe in you. You will not need to chase what God has already decided to place in your path. What He approves will come with a peace that striving can never produce, and with a certainty that fear cannot shake. One day you will look back at every betrayal, every lonely night, every misunderstanding, every painful delay, and every whispered prayer, and you will see them not as evidence that God had abandoned you, but as the very path He used to strengthen your spirit, deepen your trust, refine your character, and prepare you for the fulfillment of your greatest wish. On that day, your heart will no longer ask whether God heard you, because the answer will be standing before you, undeniable and complete. You will know beyond every shadow of doubt that while people were making decisions based on appearances, God had already approved what no human voice could cancel. And His perfect purpose for your life remains secure from the very beginning until the very moment it became reality. There comes a moment in a person's life when the heavens open and what was once written in lack begins to be rewritten in abundance. There comes a divine hour when the same God who watched you struggle begins to turn the pages of your story. I declare to you now, this is that moment. God is rewriting your financial records. The same hands that shaped the universe are now moving through the unseen realms, altering the script of your destiny. The same voice that called light out of darkness is calling provision out of scarcity for you. What was once a record of debts, loss, and limitation is being transformed into a record of wealth, growth, and overflowing supply. You may not see it yet in your bank account, but heaven has already signed it. God has already approved it. The shift has already begun in the unseen. Many of you have walked through seasons where every effort seemed to crumble, where the harder you worked, the smaller the result appeared. You cried, you prayed, you sowed, and yet the harvest seemed delayed. But hear me today, delay is not denial. The silence of God is not His absence. When God is quiet, He is not ignoring you. He is writing. He is editing the script of your story so that when He reveals it, it will make sense. Why certain doors closed? Why certain people walked away? Why certain opportunities fell apart? God is not just watching your life, He is rewriting it. And when God rewrites, He does not use ink that fades. He writes with the eternal signature of His will. You see, your financial record is not just about money. It is about destiny. It is about what God intends to manifest through you. Some of you were born into poverty, not because that was God's design, but because He wanted to show what His power can do in transforming ashes into gold. You have carried the burden of bills, loans, and limitations. But God says today, I am changing the story. Your name that once represented a struggle will soon represent supernatural supply. You are about to move from begging to building, from surviving to thriving, from asking to owning. The hand that have been stretched out for help will now become the hand that give help. You will be the lender, not the borrower. You will be the one others come to for counsel, for opportunity, for hope. God is not just giving you money, He is giving you authority over the realm of provision. He is teaching you that wealth is not just a physical currency, it is spiritual alignment. When your spirit aligns with the will of God, everything around you must shift to match that alignment. That is why the world cannot understand why, after being broken, you still rise. They cannot understand how, after being rejected, you still glow with the faith. It is because you are walking with the one who holds the pen of destiny. You are walking with the one who writes the stories no man can erase. There is a divine rewriting happening right now. In the invisible, God is erasing the stains of financial shame that marked your past. The debt that kept you awake at night are being canceled in ways you will not understand. The lack that limited your dreams is being broken. You will soon see the manifestation of divine provision that flows without limit. When God rewrites your record, He also rewrites your understanding. He teaches you that money is not the goal, it is the byproduct of obedience. It is the result of divine alignment. When you obey the voice of God in the small things, He releases abundance in the big things. Many people chase money, but the wise chase God. Because when you chase God, money will chase you. There is power in believing that God can rewrite. Your faith is the pen in God's hand. Your trust is the ink. When you speak with faith, you give God permission to manifest what He has already written in heaven. You see, many have a faith for salvation, but few have a faith for transformation. God is not limited by your salary, by your background, or by your education. He is not bound by what your economy says or what your society predicts. When God decides to elevate you, He will use what others overlook. He will promote you from the very places people rejected you. He will open streams of income that you didn't even know existed. He will turn your ideas into influence and your vision into value. Do not be afraid of small beginnings, for God often hides His greatest treasures in humble places. When you have a little, God observes how you handle it. When you are faithful with a little, He rewrites your record to entrust you with much. Some of you are about to step into much. You are about to enter into a season where your previous financial limits will no longer exist. God is transferring wealth, not to make you boastful, but to make you a blessing. You will build what others thought impossible. You will feed those who once pitied you. You will employ those who once doubted you. Your wealth will be a testimony of divine authorship. The problem with many people is that they only see what's written on paper. They look at the bank statement and think that's the final word. But hear me, God's word is higher than any statement. The report of heaven overrides the report of man. You may have a record of a debt, but God has a record of a destiny. You may have a record of a lack, but God has a record of a provision. When God steps into your situation, He does not consult your past to decide your future. He simply declares what He has already purposed for you. He says, you are blessed, you are favored, you are prosperous. And the moment you believe that, the rewriting begins. You must stop identifying yourself by your financial struggles. Stop calling yourself broke. Stop saying you can't afford it. Stop speaking like a victim. Every word you speak is a seed in the soil of your destiny. When you say, I can't, you lack heaven's resources. But when you say, God is providing, you open the gate of divine abundance. God works with the words you release in faith. Speak abundance, even when you see lack. Speak growth, even when everything around you feels stagnant. Speak prosperity, even when the numbers say otherwise. Your words invite the rewriting hand of God. There are people watching this right now who feel forgotten. You've done everything right. You've worked, prayed, tithed, given, and yet nothing seems to move. But God says, do not measure my power by your timing. Sometimes God delays because He is perfecting. Sometimes He withholds because He is preparing. When God rewrites, He does not rush. He rewrites in alignment with eternity. And when the page turns, it will turn swiftly. The same God who can turn night into day can turn your story in one moment. One phone call, one opportunity, one idea, one divine connection, and everything can change. There is a spiritual economy that is greater than any financial system on earth. When you connect with God's economy, you become recession-proof. You become inflation-proof because your source is not man, it is God. The world may shake, but those rooted in God will always rise. You will not depend on the limited flow of man's provision, but on the limitless overflow of divine supply. There are ideas sleeping inside you that heaven wants to awaken. There are inventions, books, businesses, and investments waiting for your obedience. When God rewrites your financial record, He also rewrites your mindset. He delivers you from the mentality of lack. He removes the fear of running out and replaces it with the confidence of running over. You are not a beggar in the kingdom of God. You are a steward of divine resources. You are not called to live beneath circumstances. You are called to dominate them. God did not design you to chase blessings. He designed you to create them. When God rewrites your record, He gives you wisdom that multiplies what you have. He gives you the discipline to sustain wealth, the vision to expand it, and the generosity to share it. Because true prosperity is not how much you keep, but how much you release. The river that keeps flowing never runs dry. Many people block their rewriting because they compare their lives to others. Stop measuring your season by someone else's timeline. God writes uniquely. What takes another 10 years can take you 10 days when God's hand is upon you. Your story is sacred. Your path is divine. Your breakthrough is personal. The same God who raised one from the dust can raise you from death. The same God who multiplied the seed can multiply your resources. He can turn one stream into 7. He can open doors where walls existed. He can create a way through what looked impossible. And when He does, you will know it was not luck, it was rewriting. God is removing every label of poor, incapable, and average from your record. He is clothing you with the garments of divine favor. You will walk into places that your qualifications could not access. You will receive approvals that others thought impossible. You will see money come to you through channels that make no earthly sense. God will use even your enemies to fund your assignment. The wealth of the wicked is being transferred into righteous hands, and those hands may be yours. Do not underestimate what God can do through obedience. When He tells you to give, give. When He tells you to wait, wait. When He tells you to act, act. Every instruction carries provision. Every step of faith rewrites a line of your destiny. God cannot bless rebellion, but He will always honor obedience. And the moment your obedience aligns with His will, heaven's supply begins to flow without limit. You will look back one day and say, if I had known what God was preparing, I would have never doubted. You are entering a season of supernatural replacement. Everything you lost financially, every investment that failed, every deal that collapsed, every opportunity that slipped, God is about to restore it in multiplied form. You will not recover the same way. You will recover greater. The years of pain will turn into years of plenty. The same table where you wept will become the table of feasting. The same place where you were embarrassed will become the place where you are elevated. When God rewrites, He compensates. He does not just restore what was lost. He adds interest. Lift your eyes from the problem and fix them on the provider. Stop crying over what left and start rejoicing over what's coming. Your faith must move before your finances move. Speak abundance, live expectancy, walk like one who knows God is working behind the scenes. You are not waiting for money. Money is waiting for you to believe. You are not waiting for opportunity. Opportunity is waiting for your obedience. God is already positioning people, aligning circumstances, and rearranging timelines just to fulfill what He has written about you. The rewriting is not random, it is intentional. God is rewriting your financial records because He wants your life to be a testimony. People will look at you and say, how did this happen? And you will say, God did it. Your wealth will become worship. Your success will become a sermon. Your prosperity will speak louder than any words. Because when God blesses you, He blesses you to display His glory. He blesses you so that others may see His power through your story. Now hear me clearly. God is not only rewriting your financial records, He is rewriting the very way you think about provision. For too long, many of you have looked at money as a commodity, as a struggle, as something that is earned by sweat and worry. But God wants you to understand that provision is a reflection of His presence in your life. Your abundance is not dependent on the economy, on human favor, or on chance. Your abundance flows because God has determined it. Every limitation you have experienced is being undone, not by your efforts alone, but by the divine intervention of the Almighty. What man cannot change, God can. What the world cannot provide, God can supply. The shift you have been waiting for is spiritual first and financial second. The moment your spirit aligns with God's plan, your bank account will obey the invisible laws of heaven. Listen carefully, because this is a principle that most people miss. God does not rewrite your financial records merely to make you comfortable. He rewrites them to make you courageous. He is creating a confidence in you that no situation, no setback, no debt, no crisis can shake. You will walk into rooms, into negotiations, into opportunities, and you will know that the unseen hand of God is behind you. You will not rely on flattery, on manipulation, or on persuasion, because you will have the authority of divine backing. People will feel it in your presence. They will recognize that the source of your success is not ordinary, it is extraordinary. This is the power of a record rewritten by God. And do not underestimate the subtle ways God works. Sometimes the rewriting begins quietly. A small increase here, a sudden idea there, a chance meeting that seems insignificant, but these are the strokes of the pen of heaven. They are God's whispers, His markers, His divine blueprint being laid out. If you dismiss them as coincidence, you delay your breakthrough. If you embrace them with the faith, you accelerate it. God is meticulous. He does not act hastily. Every detail is calculated. Every opportunity designed to bring you from lack to overflow. Your awareness must rise to recognize His movement, for often the rewriting occurs where you least expect it. Your financial record is not just being rewritten in material terms, it is being rewritten in spiritual terms. God is aligning your character, your discipline, your vision, and your generosity with the provision that is coming. For wealth that is not rooted in wisdom is a seed that will wither. God wants your record rewritten so that you are not only blessed, but also prepared to steward that blessing. You will not just receive, you will manage it, multiply, and release. The riches that are being prepared for you will not enslave you. They will empower you. They will not make you proud. They will make you grateful. They will not be temporary. They will be eternal in their impact. Some of you have been looking for shortcuts, for quick fixes, for secret formulas to wealth. Listen carefully. There is only one secret: alignment with God. When your thoughts, your plans, your actions, and your faith line up with His will, provision flows. And when provision flows, it is unstoppable. You may have seen others stumble with wealth because they attempted to acquire it apart from divine guidance. But your wealth, your record, your destiny, these are written by God's hand. No human error, no market collapse, no opposition can erase what God has decreed. You are entering a season where every effort, every seed sown, every skill you apply will be multiplied by unseen forces that work in your favor. There are moments in life when your financial reality feels fixed, unchangeable. The debts feel permanent. The opportunity is limited. The struggle unending. But God is the author of new beginnings. He is not limited by what is. He is only limited by your faith. The same God who can command the universe into order can command abundance into your life. You will witness miracles in the marketplace, in your investments, in your career, your businesses, your skills, your talents. All of them will become instruments of provision beyond human calculation. You will see returns that defy logic because God is rewriting the record with a signature that is supernatural. Do not fear those who mock your vision. Do not be discouraged by those who doubt your potential. Every time someone questions your ability, God writes a line in your favor. Every time the world says impossible, God says already done. This is the paradox of divine rewriting. The more the world resists, the more God moves. When you keep your faith alive, when you continue to act in obedience, God turns opposition into opportunity. What others call failure, God calls preparation. What others call disappointment, God calls strategy. Every setback is being rewritten into a setup for your blessing. Every closed door is being rewritten into an open highway for your provision. You must understand the power of speaking what God has already written. Your words are not empty. They are instruments of faith. When you declare God is rewriting my financial record, you are aligning yourself with the decree of heaven. When you speak faith in the face of scarcity, you invite God to move faster. Do not shrink in your declarations. Do not whisper timid prayers. Boldly speak life over your finances. Boldly claim the abundance that God has already written. Boldly act with confidence, even if the balance shows otherwise. The unseen realm will catch up with the spoken word, and your financial reality will transform. God is also rewriting your network, your connection, your allies. He is positioning people around you who will accelerate your growth. He is opening doors to partnership, to mentorship, to opportunities that are divinely timed. Pay attention to the people He places in your path. Not every meeting is coincidental. Not every conversation is trivial. God is orchestrating alignment, creating a web of support and opportunity that will converge to manifest your rewritten record. Your environment will change because God is changing it, and your interactions will become catalysts for breakthrough. And as the rewriting continues, you will notice a shift in your mindset. Scarcity thinking will give way to abundance thinking. Fear will be replaced with faith. Anxiety will be replaced with assurance. You will begin to see money not as a source of worry, but as a tool of empowerment. You will begin to recognize opportunities that once passed unnoticed. Your vision will expand, your goals will rise, and your courage will grow. The rewriting of your financial record is not just external, it is internal. God transforms not only what you have, but also who you are becoming. There are moments when you may feel overwhelmed by the enormity of what God is doing. You may feel unworthy, unprepared, or incapable. But that is exactly when God's rewriting shines brightest. He does not require perfection. He requires faith. He does not demand experience. He demands obedience. The hand that writes destiny is patient and it is persistent. Every prayer you prayed in secrecy, every sacrifice you made in hope, every act of faith that seemed unnoticed, God is taking all of it, weaving it into a record of provision that will astonish the world. When you finally see it manifest, you will realize it was not your effort, but God's power that created the abundance. You will also learn the joy of giving in this season. God rewrites your record, not just to increase your wealth, but to expand your influence. The moment you understand that your increase is not just for yourself, but for others, you unlock a higher level of blessing. The more you bless, the more you receive, the more you sow into righteous hand, the more God multiplies your harvest. Your abundance will become a river that touches lives, heals situations, and demonstrates the character of God. True wealth is measured not by accumulation, but by the impact it creates. God is teaching you this as He rewrites your record. You are entering a time when your history of lack will no longer define you. Your story of struggle will no longer limit you. God is turning what seemed impossible into evidence of His provision. Opportunities will multiply, resources will expand, and doors that were sealed will swing open. You will look back at the days of waiting, the nights of worry, the seasons of limitation, and you will see them as the very soil in which your abundance was planted. God's rewriting has purpose, timing, and perfection. Nothing is wasted in His hands. Every moment of struggle is now part of the prelude to your breakthrough. Now, hear me. God is not merely changing your circumstances. He is transforming your very identity. Your financial record is being rewritten because God wants you to walk as a person who carries abundance naturally, as one whose presence brings increase. He is removing every limitation that told you cannot, and replacing it with divine capability that declares, you can because I am with you. The same God who causes rivers to flow in deserts is now releasing provision in your life in ways that the world cannot explain. You will step into situations that once terrified you, and you will step out victorious, not because of skill, strategy, or luck, but because God Himself has rewritten your story and established your authority over lack. There is a spiritual principle I want you to understand. God often rewrites before you even ask. Many wait for a sign, for a solution, for an opening, but God moves in secrecy. He rearranges circumstances, aligns resources, and prepares your breakthrough even while you are asleep. Do not mistake your current state for finality. The seed that seems buried is already germinating under the soil of heaven. The river that seems dry has already been filled in the spiritual realm. Your bank account, your business, your opportunities are already written in abundance. The moment your faith rises to recognize it, the manifestation will follow. Do not rush God's timing, but do not doubt it either. Trust that His rewriting is perfect and unstoppable. Some of you are worried about the size of your blessing. You think God cannot provide this much. Well, this is too great for me to handle. I tell you today, your mind limits what God intends. God does not measure provision by your imagination. He measures it by your faith. The universe is not constrained by human reasoning. When God writes, He writes infinitely. When He blesses abundantly. You are not being prepared for mediocrity. You are being prepared for miracles. You are not being readied for ordinary increase. You are being readied for supernatural overflow. Every small step you take in obedience is building the foundation for wealth that cannot be counted by earthly standards. You must understand that God's rewriting is also about alignment. He is aligning your heart, your purpose, and your decisions with what He has ordained for you. Provision that comes apart from alignment can vanish, but provision that is divinely aligned endures. That is why God often tests your faith with seasons of waiting, scarcity, or challenge. He is not punishing you, He is preparing you. He is ensuring that when abundance flows, it flows through hands that will manage it with wisdom, distribute it with integrity, and honor it with gratitude. God is not only writing a new financial record, He's writing a record of character, wisdom, and spiritual maturity that will sustain that wealth for generations. There are those who try to manipulate circumstances through schemes, shortcuts, or hidden agendas. Do not be tempted by these things. God's rewriting is not about cleverness, it is about faithfulness. Obedience, honesty, perseverance, and vision are the instruments God uses to rewrite your life. The wisdom you need to handle wealth, the strategy to grow it, the timing to receive it, these are gifts from God released only to those who trust Him completely. When you place your confidence in your own understanding, you delay the rewriting. But when you place your confidence in God, every principle of provision flows in your favor. The world cannot give you what God is preparing. The hands of man cannot provide what heaven has decreed. Your breakthrough is spiritual first and financial second. And as your financial record is rewritten, watch for the power of multiplication. God does not only restore what was lost, He multiplies it. What seemed like a small talent or skill, a minor connection, a forgotten idea, God can transform it into a source of great provision. Every act of faith, every seed sown in obedience, every step you took, even when it seemed futile, God multiplies it. You will experience increase in unexpected ways. Relationships that open doors, ideas that attract capital, opportunities that exceed your imagination. This is the nature of divine rewriting. God does not merely compensate, He exceeds expectations. Your financial record will not simply be balanced, it will overflow. Do not fear comparison. Do not envy the success of others. God's rewriting is unique, tailored to you, and timed perfectly. Someone else's breakthrough does not limit yours. The delays you see are not denials. They are divine preparation. Your blessing will come exactly when it should, in the magnitude that God has ordained, and in the manner that will bring glory to His name. Do not settle for less because you are impatient. Do not doubt because you cannot see the full picture. Trust the unseen. Obey the voice that calls you, and let the hand of God write without interference from fear, doubt, or comparison. There are people who think that prayer alone is enough, but let me tell you, God's rewriting is activated by combination of faith and action. Prayer opens the door, but action walks through it. Faith is the key, but diligence is the vehicle. God honors those who move. He does not bless laziness, excuses, or passivity. He blesses obedience, initiative, and persistence. Even when the path seems unclear, even when the balance looks empty, even when the world says stop, God says move forward. Your financial record is being rewritten, but you must walk in the steps that faith creates. Do not wait for the entire road to appear. Take the step God calls you to today. You are entering a time when limitations will no longer have a voice. Depths that whispered doubt will vanish. Opportunities that were invisible will appear. Doors that were shut will open. God is rewriting your record to reflect abundance, authority, and influence. You will no longer live paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. You will no longer struggle in silence. The records of your life will reflect divine provision, and every account of lack will be transformed into an account of favor. This is not luck. It is the deliberate work of God. This is not coincidence. It is the strategy of heaven. This is your season of a rewrite. And as God rewrites, He will also expand your capacity to receive. Some of you have been limited not by the lack of resources, but by the limits in your own thinking. God is enlarging your mind, increasing your capacity to handle wealth, to manage resources, and to distribute provision. You will think bigger, dream higher, and act with greater courage. You will no longer be intimidated by abundance because God is training you to steward it. You are not simply entering a season of more, you are entering a season of greater wisdom, greater influence, and greater impact. The rewriting is not just external, it is internal. God is shaping you into the person capable of carrying His provision with integrity and power. Do not be discouraged by setbacks. Do not be silenced by failure. Every obstacle you face is an opportunity for God to rewrite a stronger, more compelling story. Every financial challenge, every delay, every closed door is a setup for a breakthrough that will exceed your imagination. God does not write the stories of defeat. He writes the stories of victory. Your record may have shown losses before, but from this moment forward, it will reflect divine increase. You will witness transformation that will astonish you, your family, and everyone around you. The testimony of your life will become evidence that God alone rewrites destinies and provides abundantly for those who trust Him. So now, lift your eyes and lift your heart, for the time of waiting is over. The same God who has watched over you, who has heard every whispered prayer, who has observed every seed you have sown in hope, is now releasing the fullness of His provision into your life. Your financial record, once marked by struggle, limitation, and delay, has been rewritten by the hand of the Almighty. The pages of lack are torn away, and in their place, God has written abundance, overflow, and divine favor. Do not limit this moment with doubt. Do not shrink back into fear or hesitation. Walk boldly into the reality that God has prepared for you. Speak life over your finances, act with faith in your ventures, give with a generous heart, and trust that every step you take is under divine guidance. The doors that were closed will open. The resources that were hidden will be revealed. The opportunities that seem distant will arrive at your feet. What was lost is being restored. What was broken is being rebuilt. What was delayed is arriving in perfect timing. Remember this. Your abundance is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not merely hard work. It is the deliberate divine rewriting of your destiny by the one who holds all power, wisdom, and authority. You are no longer defined by the limits of yesterday. You are no longer bound by the scarcity of the past. You are being elevated into a life of provision, purpose, and blessing that reflect the glory and power of God. Walk in faith, speak with authority, act with confidence, keep with joy, receive with gratitude. And know without a shadow of doubt that God is not just giving you resources, He is giving you the testimony of His power, the witness of His faithfulness, and the proof that He alone is the author of all increase. The financial record of your life has been rewritten, and your season of overflow has arrived. Rejoice, rise, and step into the abundance that God has already prepared for you. When money comes from God, keep quiet and stay wise. Listen carefully. When your season of abundance finally arrives, when what you prayed for in silence begins to show itself in your hands, when the drought turns into rivers and your empty hands begin to overflow, that is not the time to shout. That is the time to bow. The loudest worship is not always the one that people hear. It is the one that is expressed through your discipline, your humility, and your silence. When money comes from God, you don't boast, you build. You don't parade your blessings, you protect them with wisdom. For many, money becomes a trap, not because money is evil, but because the heart loses direction once it tastes prosperity. The blessing that was meant to lift them becomes the reason they fall. But the one who understands the source knows that money is not the price God is. Money is only the evidence that God has trusted you with something bigger than yourself. It is a test of maturity, not a certificate of success. It is God's way of saying, I have watched you in the valley, now let me see you on the mountain. When God blesses you, silence becomes a shield. You must learn to move quietly, because not everyone who claps for you wants your blessing to multiply. Some smile but pray in secret that you fall. Some say congratulations, but in their heart they plot your downfall. And so God gives the wise a silent spirit when He begins to lift them. He teaches them the beauty of being hidden even while they rise. Do not announce your wealth. Let your peace announce it. Do not display your prosperity. Let your discipline display it. Because when God gives, it's not for the world to see, it's for His purpose to be fulfilled through you. There is a season when you cry out to God for provision. You fast, you pray, you wait, and then one day doors open, business flows, ideas expand, opportunities multiply, the accounts that once read zero begin to overflow, and your spirit rejoices. But hear me, this is the moment when spiritual maturity is tested. Many can praise God when they have nothing, but few can stay humble when they have everything. God watches how you handle wealth the same way. He watched how you handled waiting. When you had nothing, you were on your knees. Now that you have something, do you still bow? When money comes from God, it carries an assignment. Every coin, every opportunity, every open door is tied to purpose. Money given by God is not meant to make you boast. It is meant to make you build. Build your family, build your future, build others, build what glorifies God. Money in the hands of the wise multiplies life, but money in the hands of the proud multiplies destruction. So when God fills your hands, ask not, how much do I have? Ask God, what do you want me to do with this? Because divine provision always comes with a divine instruction. Silence is a form of gratitude. When God elevates you financially, silence tells heaven, I am grateful and I am guarding what you've given me. You see, not everything that is blessed needs to be broadcasted. The wise learn to hide their treasures, not out of fear, but out of discernment. There are spiritual vultures who feed on the noise of those who cannot keep quiet. When you talk too much about your blessing, you open spiritual doors for envy to enter. But when you stay silent, God Himself becomes your God. When God gives you money, do not make it your new master. Let it remain your servant. Do not let your wealth speak louder than your worship. Do not let prosperity replace purity. Do not let luxury silence prayer. Do not let abundance dull your hunger for the presence of God. For the true danger of wealth is not the money itself, it is the arrogance that can follow it. The same hands that once begged God for a miracle can become the hands that forget Him. But the one who stays humble, quiet, and wise becomes a channel of divine increase. God will keep pouring because He knows that your heart will never worship what your hands hold. There are people who lose everything the moment they start showing off. They post what they should protect. They talk about what they should treasure in silence. They attract envy, jealousy, and the eyes of those whose hearts are darkened by comparison. That is why when your blessing comes, stay quiet. Let people wonder how you prospered. Let them guess how it happened. You owe no one an explanation for what God is doing in your life. Because when you explain too much, you invite contamination into what God is still building. When money comes from God, it does not come to destroy your character, it comes to reveal it. The humble will become more generous, but the proud will become unbearable. Money only multiplies what's inside you. So if your heart is right, your wealth will bless many. But if your heart is corrupt, your wealth will destroy you. That is why God delays prosperity for some people, not because He doesn't want them to prosper, but because He wants their hearts to mature first. He wants them to learn contentment before increase. He wants them to learn gratitude before abundance. He wants them to learn silence before success. Be careful not to let your blessing speak louder than your faith. The richest people in spirit are often the quietest in speech. They understand that wealth is not for showing off, it is for showing wisdom. The one who truly understands prosperity never brags, never competes, never compares. They know that real success is peace, real prosperity is balance. Real wealth is having God's favor, not people's approval. When money comes from God, it comes with peace. But when money comes from pride, it comes with problems. You must also understand that not every blessing is meant to be shared with everyone. Some things God gives you in secret because He wants to protect you. There are blessings meant for your eyes only. There are doors that are not to be announced until they are secured. There are opportunities that lose their power when they are spoken too soon. So stay quiet when God begins to lift you. Learn to move in silence while heaven shouts over you. The greatest power is in hidden progress. The strongest faith is in quiet obedience. Some people destroy their own favor by talking too much. They expose what should be concealed. They boast about what should be protected. And the moment they do, opposition rises, enemies awaken, and jealousy begins to war. But the wise, those who walk closely with God, understand that silence is safety. When God starts blessing you financially, even your friends will change. Some will begin to distance themselves because they can't handle your elevation. Others will draw near with the hidden motives. That's why you must let God teach you discernment as your wealth grows. Not everyone deserves access to what God gave you. Never let money make you forget where you came from. The same valley that taught you patience must remain in your memory. Remember the nights you prayed with tears, the seasons you had nothing but faith, the moments when you survived on hope alone. Let those memories keep you grounded when you have more than enough. Because the moment you forget your past, you lose the humility that protects your future. Money can build houses, but it cannot build character. It can buy comfort, but it cannot buy peace. Only God gives peace, and peace is what sustains prosperity. When God blesses you, your responsibility increases. Wealth from God is not a decoration, it's an assignment. It means you must now handle resources on behalf of heaven. You become a manager, not an owner. You become a steward of divine trust. So use your money to bless the poor quietly. Use it to lift others without letting your name be known. True generosity is done in silence. The left hand should not know what the right hand is doing, because the moment your giving becomes a show, it loses its reward. Give quietly. Bless silently. Let your actions speak where your words remain silent. When money comes from God, it brings direction. It doesn't confuse you. It doesn't make you restless. It doesn't make you arrogant. It gives you clarity. You start to see that the purpose of prosperity is not luxury, it's legacy. God doesn't make you rich so you can sit in pride. He makes you rich so you can stand in influence. He doesn't fill your account so you can boast. He fills it so you can become a channel of provision for others. But you can only handle this level of blessing if your heart remains humble and your lips remain quiet. There is a deep connection between humility and preservation. What you hide, God protects. What you expose prematurely, you risk losing. The seed that grows in silence becomes the strongest tree. So when your financial breakthrough arrives, guard it with the silence until it is rooted deep enough to survive storms. Move with wisdom, dress with dignity, spend with balance, speak with caution, walk with humility. Let your wealth be seen in your peace, not in your possessions. Understand this: when you receive money from God, your enemies will awaken. Not because you hurt them, but because your elevation exposed their envy. That's why silence is not weakness, it's warfare. It is how you protect your spirit from unnecessary attacks. Do not argue with those who misunderstand your blessing. Do not try to prove your worth. The proof is already in the peace God gives you. The wise do not defend their success. They demonstrate it through calmness, consistency, and gratitude. There will be moments when people question how you suddenly rose. They will say, "How did it happen?" They will gossip. They will assume. Let them. You do not owe explanations for divine favor. The same God who blessed you will silence their doubts. Keep walking, and keep worshiping in silence. The day will come when your results speak so loudly that your silence will become your loudest testimony. The one who talks too much about wealth invites both admiration and attack. But the one who stays hidden draws divine protection. The quiet rich, the humble successful, the unseen giver, these are the ones God continues to trust because He knows they value purpose over publicity. He knows they seek His will, not people's applause. So when God blesses you financially, close your mouth and open your spirit. Ask for wisdom to manage what you've received. Ask for strength to remain humble. Ask for grace to use it well. Some people lose everything because they wanted everyone to know they had something. Their blessing became their burden because they could not stay silent. But you, when your time comes, stay calm. Let your heart whisper gratitude, not your mouth shout it before men. God loves the sound of hidden gratitude. The quiet thank you spoken in secret is more powerful than 1,000 public boasts because it comes from purity, not performance. When God brings financial abundance, it is also season of testing. He observes how you treat people who have less. He watches if your tone changes. He listens if your heart still prays the same. He notices if your giving still flows. If your character remains steady, He increases you more. But if your pride grows faster than your gratitude, He withdraws His hand. Because God's blessings are not permanent if pride enters. Only the humble can sustain divine wealth. Remember this, God never gives money to impress you. He gives it to empower you. He doesn't make you rich to compete. He makes you rich to complete His purpose. So when you have wealth, use it as a weapon of goodness. Pay school fees for those who can afford it. Feed those who are hungry. Support dreams. Heal wounds. Restore hope. But do it quietly. The world doesn't need to know the details of your obedience. Only God needs to see it. Because the secret place is where blessings multiply. Even in wealth, remain disciplined. Don't let comfort make you lazy. Keep working. Keep planning. Keep growing. Wealth without vision disappears fast. Money from God demands structure, stewardship, and spiritual awareness. You must learn when to spend, when to save, and when to sow. The unwise scatter what they should have planted. The wise invest what they should have stored. Be strategic, be prayerful, be intentional. That's how wealth becomes legacy. Your silence will not only protect your money, it will preserve your peace. You will sleep better when fewer people know your plans. You will live safer when your progress is private. You will walk freer when your success is silent. The noise of the world cannot touch those who dwell in quiet wisdom. So when the blessing comes, guard your environment. Do not let wrong people enter your new season. Some are drawn not to your heart, but to your harvest. That's why discernment is crucial when abundance arrives. Learn to say less and observe more. Listen to how people speak about others who have risen, because that is exactly how they will speak about you. Do not correct them. Simply note who can handle your success and who cannot. Sometimes silence is the greatest filter. Those who truly love you will celebrate you quietly. Those who envy you will reveal themselves through their discomfort. Your job is not to fix them, it is to stay wise and keep walking. Money from God is sacred. It carries His fingerprint. Handle it with reverence. Do not waste it on vanity or impressing others. Use it to fund the purpose. Use it to sow into what has eternal value. Use it to bring light where there is darkness. That is how divine prosperity multiplies. It is never about spending, it's about sending. Sending help, sending hope, sending healing. Your wealth becomes your ministry when handled with wisdom. And when people start to ask why, you're so quiet about your success. Smile and say, because not everything God does in me is for public eyes. Let your humility confuse the proud. Let your discipline convict the careless. Let your silence become a sermon that preaches louder than your words. That is the posture of those who are trusted with divine increase. They shine quietly, build steadily, and give secretly. You must understand too that true wisdom with money is not in how much you earn, but in how much peace you maintain. Some people have millions but can't sleep. Others have little but rest deeply. Why? Because peace is not in the numbers, it's in the source. When money comes from God, it carries calmness. When it comes from self, it carries struggle. So protect your peace more than your profit. If wealth steals your rest, it is no longer a blessing, it has become a burden. There will come a time when God will tell you to give in secret what He gave in abundance. Do not resist. That giving is not loss, it is a test. every seed you plant in silence will return multiplied. Those who brag about giving have already received their reward, but those who give in silence are storing treasures in eternity. God sees what others do not, and He rewards what others cannot. Stay wise when God prospers you. Don't let every opportunity excite you. Some offers are traps disguised as blessings. Some partnerships are delays wrapped in promises. Pray before you sign anything. Consult God before you commit to anyone. Money that comes from God can easily be lost when you connect it to the wrong people. Be selective. Guard your atmosphere. Your peace is worth more than any profit. When God elevates you, don't change your values, strengthen them. Keep the same humility that brought you this far. Keep the same gratitude that sustained you in lack. Keep the same faith that carried you through darkness. Because the danger of success is forgetting who guided you there. If you keep God first, He will keep everything else in order. If you forget Him, even the strongest structure will crumble. Silence is not weakness, it is strength under control. It is the mark of those who understand the language of heaven. God often moves quietly, and those who reflect Him move the same. The ocean makes no noise, yet it holds infinite power. So when God fills your life with abundance, let your calmness reveal your confidence in Him. Speak only when necessary, and let your fruit speak for you. One day, people will look at your life and say, "How did it happen?" And you will smile, not because you want to explain, but because you know that only God could have done it. That's the beauty of silent prosperity. It glorifies God more than words ever could. When your peace increases, when your joy grows, when your life becomes stable and balanced, people will see that your wealth was not from manipulation or luck, it was from divine alignment. When money comes from God, it is not merely provision, it is purpose wrapped in responsibility. It is heaven's trust placed into human hands. When that divine supply enters your life, understand this truth. Not everything that looks like a success is meant to be shown. Some blessings are sacred, meant to be hidden until their fruit matures. If you reveal them too early, you expose what is still being shaped by the hands of God. When God gives you money, He is not only giving you comfort, He is testing your capacity to remain faithful in silence. He wants to see if you will still depend on Him when your wallet is full. If your voice will still whisper prayers when your needs seem met. There are seasons when God withholds money, not to punish you, but to prepare you. He hides wealth behind the work so that by the time you receive it, your character can carry. Because wealth in immature hands becomes a curse, not a blessing. But when the heart is molded in humility, when the spirit is trained in discipline, and when the mouth is taught silence, then wealth becomes a tool of divine influence. It builds, it heals, it uplifts, and it multiplies good. That is why when the blessing finally arrives, silence must remain your companion. Speak only when God instructs. Move only when God directs. Spend only where God approved. For every coin from heaven carries a divine instruction attached to it. Money that comes from God has a fragrance. It smells of peace. It does not cause confusion. It does not demand compromise. It enters quietly but changes everything around you. It aligns your steps, restores your dignity, and empowers your vision. And yet, even in that peace, God watches how you move. He listens to your tone when you speak to others. He observes your attitude toward those still waiting for their breakthrough, because He knows how you treat people. In your abundance determines whether your increase continues or ceases. The humble attract more, while the proud repel divine favor. The heart that says, God, this is yours, I am only the steward, become the magnet for sustained prosperity. If God can trust you with the money, He can trust you with the influence. And if He can trust you with the influence, He will trust you with the legacy. But it all begins with the restraint, with the wisdom to stay quiet when the noise of success tempts you to boast. The louder you become, the more you attract the attention of those who do not understand your calling. But when you remain silent, you protect the purity of what God is doing. Silence becomes your armor. It keeps envy far, and it invites divine favor near. Do not let the applause of people deceive you into revealing what God told you to hide. The claps of men can become the chains that trap your destiny. When people start praising your wealth, smile with humility, but never let it enter your spirit. Praise belongs only to God. You may enjoy the blessing, but never take ownership of the glory. For every time you point the glory back to God, you strengthen the roots of your prosperity. You anchor your wealth in heaven's soil, and nothing on earth can uproot it. Some people lose the blessing because they confuse ownership with stewardship. They begin to believe they created their success by their own power, forgetting that it was God who gave the breath, the strength, the wisdom, the opportunities, and the favor. Money without remembrance of God becomes a poison. It blinds the eyes, hardens the heart, and drowns the spirit. But the wise continually remind themselves, everything I have is from God. This simple confession keeps the heart soft and the hand open. The moment you forget that truth, your hand begins to close, and what was flowing begins to stop. The wise man does not chase wealth, he attracts it through alignment with the divine order. When your life honors God, when your character reflects discipline, when your words carry humility, wealth becomes drawn to you naturally. You will not need to manipulate or compete. What is yours will find you, because God Himself is the distributor of resources. And when He releases it into your hands, He expects reverence. You must use it not to dominate others, but to demonstrate wisdom. You must let it become an instrument of peace, not the symbol of pride. The quiet rich are the ones who last. They don't shout about their riches, but their impact speaks across generations. They walk with peace, talk with restraint, and give without noise. They do not need to announce their generosity because heaven announced it for them. That is what happens when money comes from God. It carries a light that cannot be hidden, even when you walk silently. Your presence begins to command respect, not because you are loud, but because you are consistent, calm, and wise. Understand that every divine blessing has a gatekeeper, and that gatekeeper is character. Before God releases great wealth, He tests your attitude toward small amounts. If you complain over little, you will corrupt much. If you are careless with little, you will be reckless with abundance. But when you are faithful in the small, God begins to enlarge your capacity. So when He finally gives you what you prayed for, stay faithful to the same principle that brought you there. The same prayer that opened the door must be the prayer that sustains it. The same discipline that attracted favor must be the discipline that protects it. When God begins to bless you, not everyone will understand. Some will say, you changed. Others will accuse you of pride simply because you now have a peace. Do not argue. Do not defend yourself. Let your fruits speak louder than your explanations. Let your wisdom answer their noise. For those who truly walk with God know that prosperity is not about showing, it's about shining. You shine through your integrity. You shine through your patience. You shine through the way you handle power quietly. Every coin that enters your hand should have a mission. Ask yourself, is this money fulfilling God's purpose in my life? If it is only feeding vanity, you are mismanaging a divine resource. But if it is building, helping, uplifting, and blessing, then you are multiplying what God entrusted you with. Remember, money that fulfills purpose multiplies itself. But money that feeds ego eventually evaporates. The wise do not chase more. They manage well. That is how divine provision sustains itself. There are moments when God will ask you to give secretly, to bless someone without your name being mentioned. Obey that whisper. It is in those quiet acts that heaven measures the sincerity of your heart. You do not need an audience to be obedient. The greatest rewards come from the seeds planted in silence. While others chase recognition, chase righteousness, while others seek fame, seek favor, while others count followers, count blessings. When you learn to keep quiet after receiving wealth, you also protect your spiritual hearing. Noise distorts discernment. If you start boasting and talking too much, you lose the stillness needed to hear divine instruction. But in silence, God continues to speak. He will guide you on where to invest, who to trust, when to give, and when to wait. That is how He preserves those He prospers. The loud ones fall quickly because they mistake excitement for direction. The quiet ones rise steadily because they move with divine timing. The wealthy who remain humble understand that their real treasure is not in the bank, it is in their peace, their health, and their relationship with God. They do not measure success by possession, but by purpose. They may have gold, but they serve God, not gold. And because of that heart posture, their riches continue to serve them rather than enslave them. The moment you start serving money, it becomes your master. But when you make money serve God's plan, it becomes your instrument. When God elevates you financially, you will notice that He starts removing certain people from your circle. Do not resist it. Some cannot handle your new season. Some will start comparing instead of celebrating. Some will secretly envy what you carry. God removes them not because you hate them, but because He wants to protect you. Learn to detach peacefully. You do not need to explain every distance. Let silence do the separation. When you stay quiet, you allow God to fight the unseen battles around your blessing. Always remember that the greatest enemy of wealth is pride. Pride whispers, you did this, but wisdom whispers, God allowed this. The moment you start believing the former, your downfall begins. Pride steals what gratitude sustains. Gratitude is the spiritual lock that keeps your blessing from leaking away. So every morning you wake up in abundance, whisper quietly, thank you, God, I am nothing without you. That whisper carries more power than any public declaration. It invites God to stay involved in your success. True. Prosperity is not measured by the number of possessions, but by the depth of peace in your soul. If your wealth costs you your peace, it is not from God. If it makes you anxious, competitive, and restless, it has become a trap. But when the source is divine, peace flows naturally. You sleep deeply, you give freely, you live calmly. That is the signature of wealth from heaven. It blesses without burden. And yet, even as you walk in peace, be alert. The enemy of your soul will try to use money to distract you from purpose. He will tempt you with comparison, competition, and comfort. But you must remember, purpose is greater than possession. The mission God gave you is worth more than the lifestyle you dream of. Money is a tool to serve your calling, not a throne to sit on. Let your wealth work for your destiny, not against it. When God gives money, He gives it with the expectation of multiplication. Not just multiplication in numbers, but multiplication in impact. What He gives you is meant to touch others. Your wealth is meant to become light in someone else's darkness. But you can only achieve that if you remain wise and silent. Because the moment you begin to seek praise for what you give, the spiritual reward diminishes. Stay quiet and let heaven keep the record. God's record keeping is more reliable than human recognition. In the stillness of prosperity, you find the highest form of worship, obedience. When your heart says, God, even in abundance, I am yours, that is worship. When your lips stay sealed, but your actions echo generosity, that is worship. When you could boast, but choose gratitude, that is worship. When you have more than enough, but still live with discipline, that is worship. True worship is not in sound, it is in submission. So when money comes from God, guard your heart like a sacred garden. Do not let pride grow there. Water it with gratitude. Fence it with humility. Keep the weeds of comparison away. And watch how God continues to add more, not because you asked, but because He can trust you. He adds to those who stay faithful in silence. And if there comes a time when your wealth attracts critics, stay calm. Let them talk. You do not need to justify divine favor. You do not need to explain your growth to those who cannot understand your grace. Silence is your best defense, for in the quiet, God Himself speaks on your behalf. He will turn your critics into witnesses. He will turn your silence into a testimony that cannot be denied. Because at the end of it all, the wealth that comes from God is not just about possession, it is about preparation. He blesses you so you can be a blessing. He fills you so you can pour out. He enriches you so you can extend His goodness across the earth. And the one who understands this truth never lets money corrupt their peace or contaminate their purpose. They stay rooted in silence, clothed in wisdom, and covered by divine grace. When money comes from God, the wisest thing you can do is stay quiet, stay grateful, and stay grounded. Because true wealth is not measured by what fills your account, it is measured by what fills your heart. When the blessing finally reaches your hands, let humility rise higher than your possessions. Let gratitude speak louder than your success. And let your peace shine brighter than your prosperity. God gives not to inflate your ego, but to increase your impact. He blesses you not to make you boast, but to make you a vessel of His abundance. So protect what He gives you with silence. Guard it with wisdom. Build with purpose. And remember always, the wealth that comes from God is not a display. It is a divine trust. Handle it with reverence. Manage it with discipline. Multiply it with integrity. Because when you stay humble in prosperity, when you keep God at the center of your abundance, no storm can shake you, no envy can touch you, and no loss can destroy you. Those who boast fade quickly, but those who stay silent rise steadily. Those who brag attract trouble, but those who move wisely attract the divine protection. Those who worship money lose peace, but those who worship God gain everything. So walk in quiet strength. Let your success whisper. Let your heart remain low, even as your blessings rise high. And never forget, the same God who gave it can give more, again and again, to the one who remains faithful, silent, and wise.